Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. I got to see Lorna Shore this week, and man, did those guys not disappoint. The whole tour package was amazing. I missed Of Sulfur, but Angel Maker blew me away. Ingested was absolutely killer. Ingested drummer Lynn Jeffs will be on the podcast next week. Aborted was great, and Lorna Shore absolutely blew me away. Amazing band, an amazing show, and if the tour is coming to your town, do not miss it. Today we welcome Kim and Kat from Portland doom rock band Hoaxed to the podcast. Hoaxed's debut LP, Two Shadows, will be out this Friday on Relapse Records. Kim and Kat discuss the similarities and differences in their musical backgrounds and ambitions, crafting their sound during lockdown, the inspiration behind Two Shadows, and their love of true crime and the Great British Bakeoff. I'm a big fan of Two Shadows, and it's the perfect record for Halloween weekend, so do not pass it up. Enjoy getting to know Kim and Kat from Hoaxed.
You said you have a dog?
Yeah.
Oh,
hey! You want to say hi?
Hello.
That's what I want to see in the morning.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's your dog's name?
Layla.
Layla.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice jack-o'-lantern behind you, Kim.
I know. I actually was wondering if you'd spy it. That's the one you gave me.
Yes. That's awesome.
'Tis the season.
Yeah,
That's great. It sure is. How are you guys doing this morning?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out in Portland, so thanks for hanging out so early in the morning.
Oh, no worries.
Where are you located?
DC.
Oh, okay. So a little bit more reasonable for you.
Yeah.
That makes
A little bit.
Yeah.
How have things been for you guys?
Pretty good, honestly. Yeah. Really hectic, but in the best way possible.
Yeah. Our album comes out 3 weeks from today. So
Yes,
we're
I know.
excited.
Yeah.
Counting down.
It's very, very good. I listened to it again while I was out on my run this morning, and
Thank you. Yeah.
it's great. I can't pinpoint what it reminds me of, but I just I don't know. There's something very familiar and comforting about it. So
Hey. Yeah.
while being spooky and all that good shit. Were you both originally from Portland?
I'm originally from Portland. Yeah, born and raised.
I've been here over 13 years now, but I'm originally from Michigan.
Oh,
So,
Michigan.
yeah.
What brought you to Portland from Michigan?
I met some friends that lived out here and I went through Portland to visit them and was like, oh, I'm living here for the rest of my life. This place is great. So yeah, it's just much more my people out here. Yeah.
Where in Michigan?
I'm from the west side of Michigan, so around the Grand Rapids area.
Okay.
It's a conservative area. So very different from Portland.
Yeah, I have some family up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What part of Michigan?
Saugatuck.
I'm from Holland. It's right above.
Yeah, very familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Saugatuck is, it's weirdly a conservative gay town, which is such a interesting thing, but more liberal than the rest of that side of Michigan for sure. But
yeah, it's very, very fun. That's awesome. Well, what got each of you into music?
Oh my gosh. Actually, my mom plays piano and she plays it really well. And I grew up with her. She does two piano. So she has two pianos facing each other in her living room. She calls them her sports cars.
Wow.
So instead of buying cars, she buys pianos. And she would play piano with someone else, with a partner. So they would be, playing two pianos at the same time. And I grew up with that. And her philosophy was, as long as you're doing some sort of instrument. I don't care, whatever it is. So I bounced around to lots of different instruments. She just wanted me to learn, about music. And so, yeah, I bounced around a lot. I played a lot of different instruments, and I always wanted to play the drums. But since I bounced around a lot, my mom was like, let's hold off on you, hundreds of dollars investment just to have you be like, not for me. So yeah, that took a lot of convincing. But once I started taking lessons and stuck with them and, put in the effort, I think it started to show that was something that I really liked. But that's just playing music.
Yeah.
Listening to music, I mean, that's everyone's got their own journey on that one.
Actually, Kim's parents still come to all of our shows. They're fantastic. We love having them there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I started in music similar to Kim. I just started dabbling in a ton of instruments when I was younger. Neither of my parents, they love music. They got me really into music listening wise, but they don't play music. They're not super musical. So my parents were the same way. It was like any instrument I could get my hands on, they were letting me play, but they were also hesitant to invest. And when I was 15, I was like, I am going to be a guitarist. I'm going to be in a rock band, and this is happening. And I need you guys to get on board with this. And so they bought me a guitar. I got a Fender Strat. It's actually sitting right behind me over there. It's the neck that you can see. It's my guitar from a teenager. And just from there in high school, none of my friends played music, and I was teaching my friends how to play bass so they could play the songs I wanted to write, and searching for drummers and that kind of thing. And that's when I came out to Portland. I was like, there are so many musicians out here. This is fantastic. But yeah, same with Kim. I mean, music was always a huge part of my life. I just consumed music when I was younger, and that's, I think, why our music is so hard to pinpoint genre wise.
Yeah.
Kim have a huge background in music. We definitely are not one genre people.
Yeah. Definitely super eclectic.
Yeah. You can tell listening to the record. What was the thing that made you, Kat, be like, I'm going to be in a rock band. I need to play something. What was it?
I have I've thought about this question too, but since I was 13 years old, I was like, I'm going to be in a rock band. This is 100% happening. This is what I'm going to do. I want to make music, and I want to do it for a living. And I just always knew that. And I really don't know why. I just always wanted to. And it wasn't even it's not the fame or any of that stuff either. It was I want to play music, and I want to do it professionally, and that's all I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's now what Kim and I get to do. We get to hang out a few times a week and play music together. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I never felt that that never even entered my brain as I never even thought about it. I want to be on stage and play. I was just I like playing drums. It was more
that fits you though. I get that.
It was just cathartic to a lot of people are oh, I get a lot of out singing, or I get you get a lot out while you're playing. You definitely, I feel I get a lot out when I play drums, and that was just pretty much what it was about. And the more I learned, the more you can get out, the more you can the more tools you have to express and to play around and have fun. That's the better time you have, and the more it lifts you up. And then it was actually my drum teacher who pushed me to be in a band. She saw a flyer hanging in the drum shop that I'd take lessons in, and she was like, hey, you should try out for this band. I was like, I don't know, she's like, it's a good exercise no matter what. Tryouts are really important. You should try out every time you get the chance to do a tryout, because you get better. It's kind of like interviewing. Even if you don't want the job, go interview. And so I did, and I was like, this is great. I love this band. I love these people. And that's how I met Kat.
It was my flyer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Kat, for you, I guess for both of you, when you were in high school, were you going to shows and part of local scenes where you were?
My hometown did not have a local scene.
Yeah.
So we had to drive, but like, I mean, I was driving to Detroit, I was driving to Grand Rapids, like all over Michigan. I was driving to Chicago to go see shows. So there really wasn't like a small, like I remember specific small bands growing up that like I would go see like local level. But no, it wasn't until I got to Portland that like I was like really into a scene. And I mean, there is a thriving metal scene out here, which did not even come close to existing where I'm from.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely went to a million shows, a few that I'm not super proud of now and that I'm older, but you know, that's how you do when you're in high school.
Yeah. What about you, Kim?
Oh God, yeah. It was so easy. Like the music scene here was so easy to access, especially in high school. That was like, we had tons of all ages shows. We had tons of house shows, of people just putting on live music. And so, yeah, that was the thing to do. It was like, are you going to the show tonight? What show? Like, I'll be there. And that was like, yeah, a lot of what me and my friends did. We would try and, we would skip school to wait in line to be front row at concerts. That was our whole thing. Even if we didn't even have tickets to the show or we didn't have money to go to the show, we would still be outside. Like, we were definitely those creepy girls that's like, why are they here? And it's like, I don't know. I couldn't explain it. That was just what you did after school on the weekends.
You talked about entering a flyer tryout for a band. Talk to me about the genesis for Hoaxed.
Yeah. So Kim and I, we've known each other. I mean, I met Kim right when I moved to Portland, when we started forming that band. And so Kim and I have known each other for over a decade now. And we've been in many bands together since then. But to be fair, none of them were like specifically the music we wanted to make. We were just like making music because we loved it. And we really enjoyed all those bands, but we were in one in 2019 that ended up breaking up. All the members went separate ways, got real jobs, did that kind of thing. And Kim and I were like, well, we don't want to do that. We want to keep making music. So we started jamming together in Kim's basement, and the songs that we wrote eventually became Hoaxed. And they were just, we like sat down and we're like, we want to do like, more like metal, more beat driven, like the music that we just really gravitate towards and love. And that became the 4-song EP. And so we really like dialed that in over COVID was when we made and recorded that album.
That's great. That's great. Where'd the name come from?
Lots of brainstorming.
Yeah.
It was like, it's a labor of love finding a band name, because it's really, really hard. Because a lot of times you'll come up with something that you really like and you're really attached to, but there's another band that has the same name that's from this other town, halfway across the United States, and you're like, well, damn.
Yeah.
All the social handles,
Yeah. So we settled on it because we liked the way that it sounded. We're like, ooh, I like the way it looks. I like the way it sounds. It's mysterious. It's spooky. It makes you think of like trickery and bewitching, and there like the two sides to every story. Like there's what is the real truth and stuff like that. And there was a lot to play with, and there was only 2 of us. So I kind of I liked that play with duality. Like there's like the illusion of what's happening, and then there's the puppet master beneath, whatever. So that was really cool. I liked that. When we finally settled on that, it was very fulfilling, and just being like, okay, yes, we got it, we found it.
I think it was like we had, you do like the lists and you do all the things, and like you keep coming back with different names. And when we came back with Hoaxed, I don't remember who came up with it. One of us did, and we were both just like, oh yeah, that's the one. It just felt right. So, and that's how you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You talked about crafting these songs over COVID. Was that how you guys spent your time, really, like writing and rewriting? And
yeah, we during COVID, we actually lived 6 blocks apart from each other. That just happened. We both just lived that close to each other. So we spent a lot of COVID together, either just walking and talking about what we wanted to do with music, or in Kim's basement writing music together. But yeah, that was a lot of our downtime during those first COVID months.
Yeah, for sure. Because we started, like we said, like we started, talking about and sort of hashing out this project in 2019, but then we started trying people out in 2020 and being like, okay, this is our band. Like we want to add to the team. And then COVID hit and we're like, oh,
no one come over.
Yeah. It's like, even if I wanted people over, they're not going to come over. Yeah. So we were like, oh, we'll see how long this lasts. And then it was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, let's just like, you know how to play bass. I know how to play keys. Like, I know how to play bass. Like, we're going to fill in the stuff ourselves, and we're going to just record it and go, just keep going forward.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of multi-track recording is Kim and I were able to like craft all these songs ourselves and then go in the studio and record them and play them all ourselves. And it was just, it was a great quarantine project.
Yeah, that's cool. Were there like records or bands really influencing your writing or the sound?
I think like every band I've ever listened to and not listened to. Like, it's hard because, when we first started out, we're like, we want to sound like this. We want to have like this kind of sound. And then as we started playing and jamming, we were like, that sounds cool. That sounds sick. But it started morphing into something else. And we were like, we're not upset. We're like, that's great. So starting out with ideas in mind of what we wanted to sound like was helpful, but what didn't end up being the end result. But it's
okay.
I was just going to say, we get a lot of people asking if we listen to the Pixies a lot, and we're like, no, but yeah.
That's my favorite game is people telling us what they think our inspiration is. And we're like, oh, we've actually never listened to that band, but we'll check them out, or whatever the obscure band is they throw our way. Sure. We're like, oh,
yeah.
I love that. Yeah. On tour, we actually had that a lot where people would come up to us and tell us what bands they thought we sounded like. And then we'd listen to them in the van on the way to the next gig and be like, do we sound like this band? I guess we like this band.
Yeah. Cause there are bands that it reminds me of, but not quite like, I'm just like, okay, I could hear if there's influence there.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like, it doesn't sound like Pixies. I would never thought Pixies while listening to this. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kat, when did you know you could sing? Have you always been a singer as well as like playing? No.
Actually, my favorite way to be in a band is as a rhythm guitarist with like my hair in front of my face so nobody can see me. And that was another thing that happened during quarantine. We were looking for like a lead singer with like that presence, that like huge lead singer energy. And then we started writing these songs and I was writing all the lyrics and singing them on demos anyway and sending them out to people. And then we were like, well, let's just do this. I'm writing the lyrics and like the melodies for me. It's like what I can sing anyway. So I might as well just go with it. And I've really enjoyed it. It's been really fun. I mean, I always did backing vocals in all my bands. And like, I've always been a singer, but never a front person. And this has been a really interesting journey to now be like front and center on stage. I've never done it before.
Yeah. How'd you guys get connected with Relapse?
Oh, good question.
It was, I don't know. It was just one of those where we finished the EP, we released it, and then it was like, okay, let's start shopping it out, sending it out to people, and seeing what sticks and what bites. And we caught the ear of someone who was like, hey, you should send it to this guy, Relapse. I think he would really dig it. And I was like, okay, sent it over, and they dug it. And they're like, hey, let's talk. oh, shit, that worked. Okay.
The best email moment ever, where it was like, Relapse emailed us back.
Yeah.
We were very excited.
And then, it just snowballed from there. They were like, I never would have thought in a million years that label would have been the one to be super interested and pick us up, but they were, and they were and have been very supportive and really not just supportive of us, but supportive of like just art in general.
Yeah.
It's very moment to shout out Relapse. They have been like, we heard horror stories about signing to labels. People were like, oh, it's like, you sign a deal with the devil. And like, we have not had that experience at all. It's been fantastic. And that's, I mean, on the EP, like we kind of released that into the world. Like, we hope people like this. Like, no idea how, like, we loved it, but we had no idea how people would receive it. And then having someone like Relapse reach out and be like, we love this, was like such an amazing moment to be like, oh, great. Oh, that's all the reassurance that you need. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
They're such an interesting label with this like really rich history in like metal and hardcore that is like, they've released a lot of new gaze and like weird alternative stuff the last few years that is like where you guys fit. So
exactly. It's been interesting because we're not the typical Relapse signee, as Tim said, and so it's been fun making waves over there.
They're definitely fearless with their taste.
Yeah. Record is called Two Shadows. Where'd that title come from? Obviously, it's the opening track, but
no, that was inspired by a trip that I took. Saw a sign for a trail that was two shadows, and I was like, "That's fucking creepy. I don't want to go down that trail." And that sort of like spurred a lot of inspiration of like, okay, what is that place?
Yeah,
like there, and then it was like this whole story kind of came about that really helped meld all of our songs together, which like all of our songs are little stories, like vignettes of different, I want to say like tales, or cautionary tales, maybe even. And so it was really cool to have this story that Two Shadows is a place. It's a town that like wandering souls would happen upon. It's not somewhere you choose to go. It's not on a map. It's something that appears before you. And when you enter it, you suddenly have two shadows, one that's your own and one that's not yours, one that's more malicious and that, you have to basically grapple with the entire time you're there. So I liked how it played with duality. It like is sort of a bridge between two worlds. There's like a lot of our songs have to do with afterlife and stuff like that. So is that other shadow, like, an afterlife? Is it a guilt that you need to get rid of it? Is it like, something calling to you that you really should like resist? So, yeah.
That's and then Kim did the artwork for the album too, which also shows that of like, there's two shadows on it, and it's like the artwork is of the place of two shadows that you come upon. So.
Yeah. The sun is setting.
Not a great place to be after dark.
Promises
are made, just as quickly broken. Live another day, live inside the moment. Get into the flow, time for all this will surely change. Forever is the only constant, but nothing stays the same. Not yours.
You talked about story, like when you're writing lyrics as like, I don't know, this new idea of coming to writing lyrics, were you just like wanting to tell stories and being like fictional, or what were you drawing inspiration from?
Yeah. So that's, as much as I was never a singer, I've written lyrics my entire life. I have like boxes of lyrics. I mean, at the time, like I thought it was poetry, and now that I'm older, I'm like, oh no, those were songs. Like I was writing 80s song structure, like those were songs. But for this album in particular, we really wanted, like Kim has been mentioning, we really like the idea of duality and like lessons learned, and everything has a price, and like nothing is free. Your due always, or your price always comes due. So we really played a lot with that in the lyrics on this album. Well, the way that we write the songs is Kim and I jam for a while. Like she gets her drum part locked, I get my guitar part locked, and then I take it home and I write lyrics over it and write melodies. And I always have lyrics spinning. I'm always like adding to them and writing them. I think that's the most successful way for me to write lyrics instead of just sitting down and trying to write them. It's like as the inspiration hits, you're writing. So I bring home the songs and put lyrics on top of them, but it really was crafted by what Kim and I thought the songs were about. Like as we're writing the drum guitar parts, we're like, what does this feel like? This feels like, it's about the Addams Family car racing down a road. And then we write the lyrics about that or whatever. So yeah, there was, that's kind of how we like our approach to lyrics, but they all have like a general theme that we tend to like circle around, which is this everything has price.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the album's really cool and very textured and layered. Like the call feels very like surf rock in the way you play guitar, like and then what is it? High C's, like the gothic like synthesizer intro. Like it's really cool and layered, and like there's a lot happening that I really dig.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we definitely because it's just the two of us. We record it in pieces, like piece by piece. So that we can go back and listen. Yeah. Like, and because our dominant instruments are drums and guitar, we usually start with those as the bones, and then we build on top of that. So we'll go in and record drums and guitar, and then we'll come back and listen and jam some more and layer on top of it. And sometimes it becomes very like, it can become theatrical, or it's like, okay, this is really spooky. How do we like draw out the unease, in that song? So yeah, thank you. We definitely do it piece by piece, and it builds from there.
Nice. The album's out the 28th. What's the rest of this year look like? I keep asking that question. The year is quickly coming to a close, but what does the rest of 22 and 23 look like for Hoaxed?
We may be going on tour again. And we're just working on getting tours lined up for 2023. That's what we're working really hard on. Just getting this album out and
yes, Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
And we have one more music video coming out too. And just hoping to get back out there. A lot of planning, honestly.
Yeah, we got a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire right now. So yeah, we're really excited for this year to wrap up and for 2023 to start. It's going to be a good one.
Nice. Yeah, there's cool vinyl variants and cassette tape for the album, which is cool.
Yeah. And Relapse came out with a T-shirt with the album cover, which we're stoked on. We love it.
Yeah. What's been getting you guys through the last couple months? TV shows, music, movies, books. Like what's helping you get by these days?
Yeah. Always movies and music for sure. I'm like not into any specific shows right now. I feel like I just don't have time to watch shows, which I wish I did, but there's a new season of Rick and Morty that I haven't gotten to check out yet. But I don't know, Kim, are you doing any shows right now?
It's funny because I'm like, there's such a wide gap between I listen to podcasts and music throughout the day, but I've been getting really into true crime, and so I've been into true crime for a little bit, and so I've got like Dateline, and then I come home and watch like Great British Baking Show.
Yeah, the most unmetal way possible. We are big fans of that show.
Yeah.
It was like such a calming blanket on top of like the chaos of normal life. You like just come home and you're like, yes, it's so calm, peaceful.
Yeah, exactly. So while I'm at work, it's like he murdered her in the middle of the night while she was sleeping. When I get home, I'm like, nah, I wanna relax and watch some goofy stuff. Like,
yeah, sure. We listen to a lot of murder on tour. Like, There was a lot of that, just like driving through towns late at night, like this feels unsafe, and listening to like the most heinous murder podcast.
Yeah. One that I even just listened to yesterday was I stumbled upon this podcast called Hoaxed, and I was like, oh, and so I listened to it, and it was about basically the satanic cult uprising, like and how that got started in Hampstead, England, and it like. And how like the QAnon movement started from that because of this like crazy story that happened within this family. And it would have just been like, okay, yeah, that was messed up. But then somebody just completely blasted it into the internet, and the internet picked it up and just ran with it. And then all these things. I was like, I had no clue, because it just seems so random, like being in the US and you're like, why are all these people talking about people drinking baby's blood? Like, where did that come from? I don't get it. And I was like, oh, somebody said that that's what was happening over here. Okay.
That is one thing about our name is like we get Google hits for our name occasionally, and all of the things that come up are never about us. They're always about these like, this town was hoaxed by something. And it's like, it's extremely fun to read all those news articles that pop up with our band name in them.
That's funny. That's great. Yeah. It's not the most SEO friendly name.
Oh, probably not.
You know.
It was innocent when we picked it though. We were like, oh, a hoax. It's, like a trick that you play on people. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Was thinking more of like hoaxed as a hoax being something that we don't have those anymore. Like that's like, I mean, if you do have a hoax, it's like this dog didn't have 5 legs, even though everybody thought it did. Like that was a hoax. Or like the jackalope is a hoax, but the
older term, but apparently
it seems older. It seems like it should be outdated by now, but then all of a sudden you get all this real world shit that happens. You're like, fuck, we're still there. I thought we were past it. We're not.
I think we're just so excited. We're pumped that it's coming out on Halloween, like right around that. It just seems we did not pick that, and it seems very fitting. We're pretty pumped on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been really fun and a labor of love, and we've been really lucky that we've been able to do this to the extent that we have, like creating the music videos ourselves, like writing and producing everything's ourselves, like playing all these instruments. Like I never thought that I would ever like, be recording something that I wrote on keys or bass before, like in a studio, and that people would dig it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's just feeling very, very lucky and happy and proud that it's out there, and that it, I think we're going to I'm really, really looking forward to the release, I guess, is a long way of saying that.
All the singles already are getting a really good reception. I just can't wait to give people the whole album.
Yeah.
There's some good ones on there that haven't come out yet. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song. One good word and I'm gone. Oh, as the story grows, the more I want to know, the more I want to show you. As the story grows, as the story grows. You can create something lasting and great, something passionate and real. And I'll bring in my own good feelings, I'll sing it with meaning. Let's just attack it and never look back. It's wild and fantastic. All together at full power, we're so much better. What's that word?